Hello? Okay, yeah, this thing is on. I was going to say, is this thing on like an old man, but it is on. All right. So I'm going to play this video game here, Path of Exile 2. I was playing it before, and last time I was playing as a ranger, I think it was. I got to level 25. And it was kind of okay, but I wasn't really feeling it. So even though I've already got a monk character, which is level 86, I decided to start a new monk character, but in this league here rather than the standard one. Like, I thought I'd check out what this is. Turns out it's just a normal campaign with like this other mechanic, which I think I've probably already messed up. But anyway, yeah. So I'm going to play this. Just pause that. But while that's happening, we're also going to listen to this call. It's about 40 minutes long. I've maybe listened to half of it, I think. So the guy on the right in this video is let me just share this out, in fact, before share stream. Open a new tab. Just pause you, copy, because obviously if there's no one watching, there's no point doing this. I suppose I could play the video game until someone starts watching, and then we could watch this this call. So that's in mine. Let's go to here. And apparently we can use add everyone in JS's. So oh, I have a viewer. Hello, viewer. All right, excellent. Okay. Well, now there's at least a viewer. I hope that's not me. That might be me. Let me just close that tab down in case. Shameless self-plugs. All right, let's paste that in there. All right, it's not me. It is an actual viewer. Okay, excellent. All right, so what we're going to do then is I'm going to play this video game whilst we listen to this call in here. And this is like some the atheistic experience. On the right is Justin, who owns a channel called The Deconstruction Zone. And the guy in the middle is a physicist. I think his name is Dr. Bits or Blips or something like that. And the guy on the left is somebody called Ian. I first encountered him during some disastrous Jubilee thing that I think Jordan Peterson did, and he was one of the people. Anyway, so I'm going to start playing this, and then
we've got Harvey, a theist from Canada, wants to talk about the Quran. It says wants to make the Quran a cosmological argument. So let's bring in Harvey.
Hello.
Welcome in, Harvey. How you doing? You're on AXP with Ian, Justin, and Blitz.
Hi, how you guys doing this evening?
Doing well. Thanks for asking.
Allegedly,
hey, okay.
Good.
That's his name. Yeah.
Am I understanding that you probably are looking at dissecting the Kalam cosmological argument?
Yeah, that's correct. The Kalam cosmological argument.
Sure. Well, we're pretty familiar with the premises. How about you give us your rundown of the argument, and we'll engage you.
Absolutely. So I guess I would begin by identifying, correctly identifying what I mean when I say the universe. So for the purposes of argument, I'm defining the universe as all space, time, matter, and energy. Would you agree that that's an accurate depiction of the universe for the sake of argument?
Sure. Doesn't have to be, but sure.
Dr. Blitz thinks so, then that's good enough for me.
Okay. So if there's no objections there, I'll proceed. So as you're familiar, the Kalam cosmological argument has 3 steps. So the first step is I'll go one at a time, and you can interject or object when you feel necessary. So the first premise is that whatever begins to exist has a cause. Would you concede that?
We have to. Maybe this should be that. Maybe we should have approached this second, but there's issues here with questions like what it even means for something to begin to exist.
Right. So I've watched about half of this. This guy in the middle, I think I've seen him on a couple of. I don't know. Maybe he just kind of popped up in my feed, but I'm going to start watching his content. I think he seems to know what he's talking about, especially because he's I think he's a doctor of physics. So yeah.
For example, would you say that when you make a table, would that be the table beginning to exist, even though the wood that made the table predated the table?
Well, yes, the table began to exist, and the cause for the existence of the table was an intelligent mind acting on raw materials, namely the wood. So I have no issues with that. So if the claim is merely like you can say something begins to exist when you have a new composition or you have a new arrangement of matter, perhaps composed of old arrangements of matter, then no, I don't think it's true that whatever begins to exist has a cause. And the example, or the counterexample rather, that I give for this is merely radioactive decay. For example, if you have, I don't know, everybody has some carbon-14 in them just from breathing air. So that carbon-14 can be incorporated into your molecular structure. And as a result of the carbon-14 undergoing radioactive decay, you are now a new object, right? You're made of new stuff. And yet, it's really hard to pinpoint what the cause of that new composition is. Hold on. I would have to interject. I don't want to interrupt you, sir. So I do apologize for that. But I just want to make sure that I don't lose my line of thinking. I don't agree that I exist of new stuff per se, because what I am composed of is matter that already existed in the universe. And as you know, the vast majority of our bodies is comprised of pre-existing stardust. So in no sense did I ever begin to exist from new stuff.
Well, your new composition did, but I can change the analogy if you'd like. We could just say that if you have a carbon-14 atom, if you wait long enough, there is a new thing that exists, namely you have the decay of the carbon-14, and I believe it decays into an electron antineutrino.
Okay, so do they deny causality or knowledge of causality? So I think what he's saying here is that the process of radioactive decay is something that begins but doesn't appear to have a cause. I think since table, like chair, has an ontos only in the mind of a contingent mind, is ontos the same as ontic status? Ontos. It appears to be a horror video game. I'm going to assume you mean ontic status. And not independently of it is a bad line of argumentation for the theist to accept, like defining a sandwich. Yeah, but the theist doesn't kind of have a choice because I mean it sort of depends. Yeah. Like I think things like chair and table are conceptual imputations, but generally I found that theists don't ontos. Oh, there's a Greek adverb meaning really, truly, or indeed. All right, okay. So I think table has an ontos, meaning really truly only in the mind of a contingent mind and not independently of it. Yeah, but he's gonna like say that the universe has a cause because it began to exist. So what the physicist is doing is demonstrating that there's at least one phenomena, which is radioactive isotope decay, that appears to begin without a cause. Yeah, well, let's carry on and hear what he's got to say for himself.
Neutrino, and I think it becomes nitrogen.
I take it back
if I remember
little bit.
The analogy, if you'd like.
Into existing stardust. So in no sense did I ever begin to exist from new stuff.
Well, your new composition did, but I can change the analogy if you'd like. We could just say that if you have a carbon-14 atom, if you wait long enough, it becomes, there is a new thing that exists, namely you have the decay of the carbon-14, and I believe it decays into an electron antineutrino, and I think it becomes nitrogen-14, if I remember correctly, or something like this. There is some radioactive decay process, and it's not clear what the cause of that decay process is.
Okay, but it's certain there certainly is a cause for it, right?
You say that, but what is it? If there is a cause, what is it?
Well, just because we don't know what the cause is doesn't mean that there wasn't a cause. You're dealing. I'm not a chemist, obviously, but when you're talking about different chemicals and interacting and something.
Charles Finney asks atheists if their speech has a cause, namely their will, and then use their response as a refutation of their denial of causality. I mean, I'm not sure that all atheists would deny causality. But let's, like, if you say that the cause of speech is will, it seems to me that that's not really, I'm not entirely sure what that's solving. Because whatever question you're posing of the speech, you can also pose that question of the thing that is said to cause the speech, right? So does your will have a cause? Yeah. But I don't think this conversation is going in that these three are having with the caller is going in the direction of will. Yeah.
New comes out of that. That is consequential to pre-existing forms of matter. So you don't have a situation for example, where carbon atom just appears out of nothing.
Well, but that's not what we're talking about, which is why I asked the question that I asked to begin with. Is it sufficient for something that is made out of stuff that already existed? Does that count as being created? And you said yes. You said that the table begins to exist even though the wood that made it up already existed. So just the mere fact of changing form is enough for it to be considered beginning to exist.
I don't think. Do you know? It's funny. I'm actually reading Hume. I've got here's my about. I mean, maybe. Well, I'm on section 5 of an inquiry concerning human understanding. I don't think Hume is saying that causality doesn't exist. He's merely saying that we can't assume causality based on the habits of our consciousness. And that, say, when I snap my fingers, like when I make that motion, like because the sound, which is the effect, seems to arise in conjunction with the cause, which is the motion of the fingers, I say that the motion of the fingers has caused the sound. And he's arguing that tendency is a habit of consciousness rather than an actual statement about the nature of things. Yeah. Hey, sweet sugar. I'm not doing too badly. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think you can take any of these things to an extreme, and I think like Hume is kind of interesting, and I'm enjoying reading an inquiry concerning human understanding. But I suppose I'm kind of with Wittgenstein in that I think that there are certain propositions that it just doesn't, like, it's not profitable to really kind of think about, like, or to doubt. So, for example, like, it doesn't seem to me to be profitable to doubt whether I have a mind or not. Yeah, that like, I'm not entirely sure how that would benefit me. So I just kind of take that as a hinge proposition. Same for, you know, I'm able to reason. My faculties are generally reliable. I mean, you know, you could maybe argue the toss on that one. You know, the world is going to support my weight, etc., etc. Anyway, let's crack on with this. Dr. Blitz, that's his name.
In this case, we have the case where carbon-14 changes form into nitrogen-14, an electron and an electron antineutrino, and I am now demanding what the cause is for this event. And if you can't provide it, in fact, we have good reason to think that there is not some sort of classical cause, then it seems like the first premise fails.
No, with all due respect, your premise doesn't support your conclusion. And just because we don't know what causes something at this point in time does not mean that there was not a cause. And as a matter of fact,
we have good reason to think that it is uncaused.
The burden of proof. Hold on. The burden of
So I don't know if you caught that. He said that we have good reason to think that it is in fact uncaused, which he's going to get into in a moment.
Given that,
which the caller appears to have missed.
It would be so extraordinary that anything would begin to exist without a cause. The burden of proof would be on you to demonstrate why that new state of matter did not require a cause, because.
So I've given a counterexample which does satisfy my burden, but we can go even further, namely that according to our understanding of quantum mechanics, these kinds of probabilistic events actually don't have a cause.
Well, actually, that's not true, because when you're
spontaneous.
When you're talking about, and keep in mind, I'm not a physicist, I'm just an average person who does some reading, right? So just bear with me. When we're talking about quantum mechanics, like, for example, when Lawrence Krauss taught in his book A Universe from Nothing, when he talks about the cosmic vacuum in which particles seemingly appear uncaused out of nothing, that's kind of misleading because.
Fortunately, I'm not talking about that at all. I'm not talking about nothing. I'm not saying that nothing caused this. I'm saying that there is no cause for the radioactive decay.
Okay, but you just changed examples. First, we were talking about radio decay. Then you were talking about quantum mechanics, and now you're going back to.
The radioactive decay is governed by quantum mechanics.
Okay, see, that I didn't know. I wasn't. Are you a chemist or a physicist?
I'm a physicist.
Okay, yeah. So bear with me. I'm not a physicist. Like I said, I'm just an average guy who. So maybe if you could clarify that for me, just so I understand what I'm.
Right. So the way that we currently understand these kinds of radioactive decays, and it really depends on your preferred interpretation, but the mainstream understanding of these phenomena is that you have a carbon atom. That carbon atom is in some sense unstable. There is say this is a carbon-14 isotope. The nucleus is unstable. There is a lower potential, or there is a lower energy configuration, but it's obstructed by a potential energy barrier. And then, as a result of something called quantum tunneling, that atom that nucleus can quantum tunnel into a lower energy state. And when it does so, it produces an electron antineutrino, and a neutron. And that neutron stays in the nucleus, and you get nitrogen-14. Now, we have perhaps foundations, explanations for why this happens. The one I just gave you is a pretty good one. But this is very distinct from what a cause is. A cause is some sort of mechanistic phenomenon that inevitably leads to some outcome happening, and we have no such example for this case.
Right, but just because we don't currently have an example for this case doesn't mean that there wasn't a cause.
It's not that we don't have an example. It's that according to our current understanding of quantum mechanics, there is no cause. That this is merely a spontaneous or stochastic event.
Right. Okay, but you're talking about a spontaneous event that occurs within the confines of space and time, in which we have matter acting on matter, and even you mentioned neutrinos. Neutrinos are, as you know, are governed by quarks. So
no,
no,
neutrinos are not governed by quarks. No.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what that means, but neutrinos aren't composed of quarks. In fact, they don't interact with quarks.
If the basis of the universe was an event, and the event doesn't require a cause, but the natural world doesn't have differentiated or stratified layers or types of reality, and yet nature requires causes at large, that would seem to be a non sequitur emergence from a uniform reality. That's assuming that reality is uniform. And also, I think that the current models seem to indicate that there are differentiated layers of reality. You've got the quantum layer and the macro layer. Yeah. One appearing to be deterministic and the other appearing to be probabilistic.
Either. Look, the reason I give this example, not to overcomplicate things, but the reason I give this example is merely because you made the claim that everything that begins to exist has a cause. This is an example of something beginning to exist. I have now provided a counterexample, what seems to be a counterexample. I've given an explanation as to why it seems to be a counterexample. And so at this point, the burden is on you to either provide the actual cause here to dismantle this counterexample, or provide a stronger argument for why everything that begins to exist has a cause.
Okay, sure. Well, obviously, I'm not able to counter that argument because I'm not a physicist, so I don't have the same level of information on that as you do. But I would say, as far as an argument goes for whatever begins to exist as a cause, is that supposition is completely consistent with everything we know about the natural world, and something coming into existence without a cause would be so extraordinary. So if you're gonna say something comes into exist without a cause, the burden of proof is on you because it's out of the norm. The burden of proof is on you.
So it just satisfied that
something comes into existence without a cause.
So I just gave you an example of that.
I'm sorry.
That satisfied that burden.
I think what you just said would be like very compelling if it weren't for the fact that Dr. Blitz just spent like 10 minutes giving you an example of that exact thing.
Okay, so Dr. Blitz, let me ask a clarifying question. Is it your position that currently we don't know what the cause of that is, or is it like a categorical position? This event has no cause, and you have evidence to support that it does not.
Our current understanding of quantum mechanics is that there is no cause. Now, maybe you'll say that like in 50 years we'll have a better explanation, and maybe there will be a cause, but then that's just appealing to ignorance, I guess.
No, I wouldn't say it's appealing to ignorance. I would say, like I've stated over and over again, everything we know about the natural world indicates that whatever begins to exist has a cause. The fact that a cause is currently unknown does not indicate that there is no cause.
It's not that the cause is unknown. All of our models of quantum mechanics indicate that there is no cause, that this is a purely spontaneous event. This is not, I'm not appealing to ignorance here. This is just one of the features of quantum mechanics, that it's stochastic.
How are you defining a spontaneous event?
Yeah, namely that an event has no direct causal relation, or that there's no causal relation between one event and this effect.
Do I believe in a simple oneness of the world or existence? No, I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't, like, like magnetic fields, for example, don't appear to be the same as, you know, trees. Neither of which appear to be the same as qualia. So, yeah.
Sorry, could you clarify that a little bit?
Yeah. So we typically say that A causes B when if A is present, then B necessarily follows. There is no such thing. By the way, that would be an example of a sufficient cause. Presumably, that's what you mean by anything that begins to exist has a cause. Otherwise, the Kalam kind of falls apart.
No, the position that I'm taking is that if something does not exist, and then something exists, that requires an explanation. There had to have been some cause that led to something exist. So like the example you gave earlier of the table could not exist if we did not have the wood.
Yeah, sure. That's a grounding relation, by the way, probably not a causal relation.
Now notice Dr. Blitz knows what grounding is. I'm guessing this caller in isn't a presupposition list. Otherwise, he'd have picked up on that. But yeah.
Well, you can make it a causal relation by saying that an intelligent mind acted upon wood to create the table.
Well, then you would say that the wood being present when the intelligent agent that intends to create a table, that would be, or when the intelligent agent that intends to create a table is also present, that would be the cause.
So I think that here's where I would disagree with Dr. Blitz here, and I would also disagree with the Muslim interlocutor. In that I think they are confusing conditions with causes. So it seems to me that the wood and a carpenter being present are the necessary conditions for a table, but neither of those are intrinsically causal. You might need some other thing to happen, such as the carpenter to decide to act on the wood. That would then be causal. But this is this is a Muslim caller. Yeah. The Eastern religion, I understand, typically believes in oneness or lack of true distinction. And it sort of depends. That might be a feature of Hinduism, being one with everything. That's not a Buddhist concept. Buddhism would argue that existence is in kind of ultimately non-dual, dual. But I'm not sure that it would argue for a monism either. Yeah. They can't do precept. Maybe that's why he's not biting on the grounding relationship thing. Although most precepts don't understand grounding. Yeah.
As along with a whole bunch of other stuff, but it just seems like the relevant thing that we were talking about here is that you are okay with saying that when a thing transforms, that can be equivalent to a thing beginning to exist, when the thing that began to exist is the thing that was transformed into. The wood transforms into a table, so you say that the table begins to exist. In this case, we have carbon-14 transforms into nitrogen-14 electrons and electron antineutrinos, and so we would say that those three things began to exist because it's a transformation. It just seems like this is an example in nature of this first premise just not being true. I would agree with you that, like, classically speaking, in our everyday experience, that this first premise is generally true, but that's not all of natural reality.
I think Blitz has given like good reasons to reject the first premise, but to make sure that we're not like circling the drain, let's say that we grant the first premise. Let's say that we grant that all things that begin to exist have a cause.
So I'd agree with Ian here. I think Dr. Blitz actually dismantled the first premise quite well because he's a physicist. So, you know, it would never have occurred to me to point to the decay of isotopes as a thing that begins to exist, but like that process begins to exist at some point, right? But that doesn't appear to have a cause. Grounding is a way of describing dependency chains. So you could argue that a table is grounded in a top and legs, and then those are grounded in planks of wood of varying sizes, and those planks of wood are grounded in a tree, which is grounded in the molecule chains that go up to make up that particular type of wood, etc., etc. Hey, I could be. How's it going? Your example doesn't appear to have any relationship to what grounding is. Yeah.
Where would the argument go from there?
Well, as you know, the second premise is that the universe began to exist, and we have all current philosophical and scientific understanding indicates that the universe is not finite, that it had a beginning, namely 13.7 billion years ago, approximately, in the Big Bang, and in which I stated earlier that I'm defining the universe as all space, time, matter, and energy. So
in which
the universe began to exist. Sorry, go ahead.
Did we lose him?
No, wait, are you
No,
cut out for Dr. Blitz? I think I might have cut out for Dr. Blitz. Dr. Blitz, there's like some audio issue going on. Okay.
You were too good, Dr. Blitz. God cut you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry.
Guess, can you say a couple more sentences?
We're good. I can hear now.
Would you mind repeating,
yeah.
Harvey, would you mind repeating what you just said?
Yeah, no problem at all. So my second premise is that the universe began to exist. And do you have any objection to that? If you do, I can certainly provide a rationale.
I have like 17.
But if you have no objection, it would be easier to... You have what?
I have like 17 objections.
Okay, so maybe it would be maybe.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I suppose the issue with that is that it's one thing to say that a table is ultimately grounded in oak molecules or whatever, because oak molecules can be shown to exist. Whereas to say that truth is grounded in the mind of God, that's a very different claim, because it relies on something that's non-falsifiable. Like, there's no way for me to prove the claim false. So those sorts of claims I tend to be much more skeptical about. Yeah. And which is why, I think, to be honest, out of the arguments for God, presuppositionalism is actually the weakest. And I think that what would I say is the strongest? Probably, I think maybe I suppose I guess this is a variety of the cosmological argument, but the first cause argument. But rather than first cause, I think the strongest version of that is what I'm kind of classing as prime cause, where it's not necessarily the first in a kind of sequence of causes, but the cause without which no other causes can come into being. Like, that would seem like I think that's quite a strong argument. I still think it relies on a faulty inference, but yeah, I can stronger than tag anyway. Do I believe truth is non-falsifiable? I think facts, statements can be non-falsifiable. And I think truth is a property of propositions. You know what? I think seems like you want to have a conversation. So what I'm going to do is open up the panel. If you want to come up, you can. You don't have to. Let me just paste that in here for now. I could be, seems to be a verificationist. You wish, right, okay. Do I don't know what it means to say, is truth non-falsifiable? Because truth isn't a proposition. It's a property that we ascribe to propositions. Right, well, let's carry on listening to this.
Yeah, I guess
more appropriate.
All three of us, sorry to interrupt, because I think we're on a delay. I think all three of us would like you to support premise number 2.
Someone's joined.
Of course, absolutely.
Who's joined? Hello. I don't know if you're talking, but I can't hear you. Let me check I've got. Right, yeah, headphones. Are you talking, re-examination? Okay, re-examination. If you're, I don't know what browser you're using. I'm guessing you're in a car, which might make this difficult. I'm using Talk Studio, which doesn't like Firefox. So you need to be using either Chrome or some Chrome-based browser like Opera. Yeah, if you're using Firefox, Talk Studio shits the pants. But like fucking StreamYard, which you can use with Firefox.
Is this better?
Oh yeah, that's better. There we go. Yeah.
Okay. I feel guilty because I wanted to just talk to the chat because I'm working on stuff right now, but I just didn't mind asking questions. But it's interesting that you say that truth is recognized in individual statements. Is that a fair representation of what you're getting at?
I would say that truth is a property of propositions. So the sun is neither true nor false, but statements about the sun can be.
Okay, I probably have to think a little more on the statement of the sun is neither true or false. I agree that, yeah, the sun in and of itself, we're talking about the matter and energy that subsists of the sun, is not a statement about the world. Mm-hmm. Then yes, I agree with that.
Right.
Correct. So, but when I say truth, what I mean is the that which is real in sum total, and that includes all categories of truth, like legal truth and moral truth.
I mean, wait. When you're saying, to me, when you're saying, because I don't know what you're talking about when you say truth, unless you, what you think truth is that it's a property of statements. Like, but if you're saying that truth is some kind of thing that exists in the universe.
If you want to get literal, I believe that truth is a person, specifically that truth is the person of Jesus Christ. So there's that. But what I'm getting at, and I won't spend too much time on this call because I don't want to like distract too much from your thing. I just want to have a. But I feel bad for teasing you in the chat, so I wanted to give you some back and forth.
I would say that the assertion that the truth is a person embodied in Jesus Christ, that's a bold claim that would require justification.
Okay. And I would say that truth, because there are personal realities, and those personal realities, we are also persons, and we're accountable for how we live as persons, and we relate to the things around us, and that therefore truth must be personal. I mean, I'm kind of like reverse engineering from the conclusion a little bit, but I think there are observations which can lend itself to the understanding that truth must be personal, because otherwise, if truth was merely material or just energy, impersonal, conceptual, then where is the relationship between us and each other? Where is the relationship between us and matter? Why are there relationships at all? Unless God is a relational being who.
Yeah. Those are all very good questions, but the fact that those questions exist doesn't mean that truth is a thing that exists independently of statements.
Yeah, I think the statements are the statements of the mind of God, and I'm not able to, like, in the course of this call, prove that, but that's what I believe, and I'm just going to at least tell you that.
Okay. I mean, if you're just owning it as an article of faith, that's, fine. I don't argue against articles of faith in the same way, although the only, because I have articles of faith, but I think perhaps the difference between your articles of faith and mine are that mine are held provisionally. And so if something comes along that seems to conclusively demonstrate a view I hold wrong, or just shows it to be that it's untenable to hold that view, then I'll drop the view.
Yeah. So what, when you say untenable, like what caused you to choose the framework that you chose for what truth is?
Well, I mean, that's like, we're kind of switching gears now because we're kind of moving from philosophy to my own personal experience, which is unique to me and doesn't mean anything about truth itself. It only tells you about my relationship to certain types of statements.
Sure. And I don't mean to pry or make you uncomfortable. I was taking it merely as like either maybe you use a deductive approach or an inductive approach, or you have justifications to the
it sort of depends. Right. Yeah, it sort of depends. Like, it depends on what the truth claim is. If it's something mathematical, then I'll use a purely deductive approach, right? Whereas if it's something that's a truth claim about the world, then I suppose I'll use a more inductive approach, or at least probabilistic, until I can ascertain whether the truth claim is true or not, i.e. accords with what's actually happening. Just speaking colloquially, if it's a truth claim about whether or not I like ice cream, it doesn't seem to me that I need to know, like, do anything other than check my own experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
would you say it would be objectively true, regardless, like stance independent, that supposing that you like ice cream, that you do like ice cream regardless of if the entire world said otherwise?
Would it be true?
Yes, even though it wouldn't be experience with ice cream.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that's not objective.
Yeah. So I think the assuming that I am being honest and all of that, and that I know myself well enough to know whether I like ice cream or not, then and I did. And I did actually like ice cream. Then I think the statement "I like ice cream" would be it would be conventionally true. Now, if you want to say that's objectively true, I wouldn't necessarily have any kind of disagreement with that. But there does seem to people seem to attach a whole lot of baggage to the word objective.
Yeah, all I was modeling it after in this sentence was that regardless of what anybody else would say, the fact that you are having a subjectively pleasant, favorable experience of ice cream, and you hold that state currently, would still be true regardless of what the thoughts of anybody else would be. That's all I'm isolating for.
Yeah. And like, you know, if you were to say that the sun burns at whatever temperature the sun is at, like that would be objectively true, like using, you know, whatever scale you're using, right? Like I don't,
right.
You know, I think one of the ways that I like to think about objective versus subjective truth is with color, right? Because some people are colorblind, and so you might have two people who are looking at a tree and they'll see different colored leaves, and that might be their subjectively true experience, but the wavelength of light is going to be the same for both of them, you know, and that's objective.
Right. Yeah. And I think both those who are colorblind and not colorblind can understand and accept that without any, you know, any whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I have not prepared a whole lot of like notes. I just like my thing is more like trying to get my arms around like what you believe versus what I believe, in a sense of like, okay, where are the differences? And here's how I understand things. Here's how I answer these questions in my mind. And your view is so much different than mine that I just, you know.
Well, I suppose like I've been an atheist since I was 4. And
you dropped a bit of ice cream on the ground and it was over. I'm kidding.
And then I suppose, although you could say I've been a committed atheist probably since my early 20s. Like if you were to ask me when I was a kid, do you believe in God? The answer would be no, but I wouldn't have been able to give you a very good reason why not. Other than it just didn't seem to make sense. And I've been a committed Buddhist since, I don't know, my early to mid 20s. That's interesting that both of those arose at a similar time. Well, Buddhism later than atheism.
Right. I weren't considering age 4 to age 20.
And I think the
time there's probably some pattern you're getting at, which I won't pry into, but there's probably some pattern you're kind of discovering there.
When I was a kid, in relation to truth. I mean, there was a pattern. I don't mind describing it. I just, as long as we don't do the whole sympathy thing. When I was a child, for reasons that I won't go into, I had a behavioral pattern in which I would steal food from the kitchen, because, you know, the mouth is the main pleasure center of a young child. And then when I was asked about it, I would lie about stealing the food. And then, you know, a whole bunch of ugliness ensued. So I learned, so I have a kind of almost a pathological relationship to truthful statements, in the sense of making sure that what I say is accurate. Which isn't a virtue. People often mistake it for, like, they'll hear me be honest about something and mistake that for a virtue, but it's not. It's a survival response.
Lawyers do that all the time.
Do what?
Make sure that what they say is accurate, regardless of how they make it seem relevant when it's not relevant, or if it just narrowly escapes them from some conclusion that they don't want to have, even though they probably should. Like, say they're in a courtroom and they say true statements, but the true statements are meant to paint a picture of answering the question when they're not.
Yeah, that's not really what I'm talking about, but yeah.
Right, but you were differentiating being honest from being accurate, which is not the same thing.
Well, I think
That's what I was
that being
trying to help
accurate is part of being honest. I mean, maybe like if you're talking about honesty, I mean, there's kind of being factually honest, then I suppose there's being how emotionally authentic. Yeah.
Anyway, I interrupted. Go ahead. I thought it was helping, but I was hurting, objectively.
Were you? Hey, Robert. I mean, did you want to carry on listening to these three? Do you know these three individuals that we're
I know the
watching?
ones on both ends. Well, actually, you know what? No, I'm familiar with all three. Just because when you do what I do, which it's not anywhere near professional grade, but when you watch the things I watch, you inevitably come across the vertical, pwn your god, atheist sort of thing, where it's like I come home, I sit in a chair after going to Jimmy John's, and then I talk about how your god doesn't exist for 8 hours.
Have you heard of some channel called Monkey Boy Logic?
Maybe, but refresh me.
He's like, I mean, he's fairly young. I'm guessing in his early 20s. And I'm guessing that he's at university studying something. American, but seems to be very interested in logic. So he debates Christians as an atheist. And he often teams up with a guy called Jack Anstreek. And both of them are like the arguments on like initially appear to be really abstruse, but quite often they're just trying to get the person to explain exactly what they mean. Yeah. If you like heavy philosophy.
It sounds like one of those paintings that people have done on an iPad, and then as you zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, you realize that
Oh yeah, with the infinite, the infinite painting thing. Yeah,
isn't that Xenu's paradox? They just turned Xenu's paradox into a podcast with somebody's brain.
Xenu's paradox. No, that's like a misunderstanding about motion, isn't it?
Well, I thought maybe I'm thinking of the wrong paradox, but I thought there was a paradox that talked about if you close the distance by halves, you'll never reach the end.
Yeah. Well, that's a misunderstanding. So, like, I think that's been mathematically solved.
Interesting. People still banter it around as if it's a real thing. So I just never looked.
Well, I mean, like, you can have fun with it philosophically, but I think the because you can have an infinity bounded in a finite space, right? I mean, that's what fractals are.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if you just made a road that circled the globe on the equator, then you could run infinitely along that road, but it would obviously be bound to the size of the Earth.
Correct. Anyway, please don't mean to distract you. Just very curious. Every time you come up in my stream, it's always interesting talking to you. If I had more time, perhaps I would be a little more bold. But this is your show, and let's get on with it. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was just taking a sip of water. So there are.
Thanks for coming up.
There are two ways you can deal with the second premise. You can deal with it philosophically, and you can deal with it scientifically. So I'll start philosophically. I'll just give a brief example, and then I'll move on to a scientific indication. So philosophically, the idea of an infinite past events leads to absurdities, right? Like if I were to, if you were to envision a hotel that had an infinite number of rooms, and and all of the rooms are currently occupied. But then you had a client present to the hotel looking for a room. Because the hotel has an infinite number of rooms, the manager just says, okay, no problem, and she moves the client in room number 1 to room number 2, and puts the new client in room number 1. But all the hotel rooms were already occupied. Yet there's always space to take more clients. So that leads to absurd.
What's the contradiction?
Absurd. What's that?
What's the contradiction in that? Like, where's the absurdity? Infinity is counterintuitive, but
yeah, it's just how infinity works. But maybe I could give you like a counterexample to this. Do you think that timeless things change?
Do timeless things change?
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, if you're talking about something that exists beyond time, that by definition cannot change.
Yeah, sure. What that means is that God couldn't have created time, because there would be a state of reality wherein there is no time, and timeless things don't change. But you're saying God created time, so there would be like a timeless reality that changes into a timed reality. So there'd be a contradiction in your view, namely that timeless things don't change, but also a timeless thing changed. So that's a contradiction, which means that God couldn't have created time. So an actual infinite for you is just time itself.
Okay, well, first of all, I actually haven't even gotten to God yet, but since you're so generous as to accept my second premise as well as my conclusion.
It's not what I'm doing.
Well, it certainly appears to. I wasn't even done justifying my second premise that the universe began to exist. You started talking about God, so that leads me to believe that you...
We can call it like a cause if you want. If you don't want to call it God, we could say if time was ever caused to exist, then there would be some state of reality wherein time doesn't exist, and then it's caused into existence. So then you would have a timeless state of reality that changed into a timed state of reality, but also timeless states of reality don't change. So there would be a contradiction on time getting caused into existence.
So I think that's kind of a miss. So I'm going to stop justifying my second premise, then, because you've already granted it, as well as the third premise that
that's not what happened just now.
Therefore, you just said it caught. Well, we started talking about God before I even got there. But anyways, I'll address your point. I think it's kind of a misunderstanding. So God did not change when he created time.
That's not what I said. Reality changed.
Well, there was no reality outside of God before the creation of the universe. So when God created the universe, he entered time at t equals 0.
Sure, but you would say like all of reality changed.
I mean, that's a bold statement that there was no reality before God created the universe. I'm not entirely sure how that would work. There must have been a reality for the universe to exist within, right?
Changed, correct?
No, all of reality was created, because there is no reality outside of God prior to the creation of the universe.
Wait, was it created or did it exist within God? It can't be both, right? If it was created, then it didn't exist.
Well, I never said
so that would mean that God wasn't real.
Well, hold on. I never said it was both. I said quite explicitly that there was no reality outside of God until God actively chose to create the universe. That is, chose to create time, space, matter, and energy, etc.
Hello. If you're trying to, you're muted. All right. Okay. Hello. Are you there? If you're talking, you need to join using Chrome rather than Firefox, like Chrome or Opera, because I'm using Talk Studio rather than StreamYard. And Talk Studio doesn't seem to like the microphone and camera permissions on Firefox. Don't understand why. But maybe that's the price you pay for only paying, what is it? How much it is a month. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. DD, can you use Chrome or Opera to join? This is kind of annoying. See, I mean, yeah, I can't afford StreamYard, not 40 odd quid a month. Oh, I think that's dollars, so I don't know how much that is in real money. Like if I was to pay for a year, I think it works out at like $480 a year. And like this, which runs out on the 20th of April, I think it's like 140 odd quid. Not letting you use audio from your phone. Hang on, let me I wonder if you had the same issue. If doesn't StreamYard have an app? It might. Failing that, try using a Chrome browser on your phone. Oh, before we go, so
what you said was that God created reality, or that reality was brought into existence, and also that the only reality that existed was within God. So was this a timeless reality?
The only reality. I never said reality existed within God. What I said was reality, and what I'm saying when I'm using the term reality, I'm talking about reality as we know it as the physical universe did not exist until God chose to will that into existence.
Okay, when I talk about reality, that's fine. Then this is just like a miscommunication. When I talk about reality, I'm talking about all of the things that exist. So was there a change within all of the things that exist when time was caused into existence?
Well, if you're including God in that category, then quite obviously there was no change in God, because God is not a temporal.
I didn't ask if there was a change in God. I was asking if there was a change in the set of all things that exist, if any of it changed.
Okay, well, again, prior to the existence of the universe, the only thing, for lack of a better word, that existed was God. And God is an unchanging being that exists beyond the constraints of time. And then the universe was created. So the universe didn't change. It was created ex nihilo, out of nothing.
Do you think God was eternally exercising his capacities to create time?
Can you clarify that question? I'm not sure what you...
Yeah, was there ever a state of affairs where God wasn't exercising his capacities sufficient for the creation of time?
Well, it's hard. It's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to say. Was there ever a time where God wasn't exercising his power because
if there was
time didn't exist?
Was there ever a state of affairs in God's timeless eternity, Son's creation, where God was not exercising his creative capacities to bring time into existence?
I would say that no, because
then time would have always existed. So then time's an actual infinite.
No. Hold on. I had said that there was no time. I was going to say that there was no time prior to God's creation of time. So it's nonsensical. It's not a valid question.
But God was eternally exercising his creative capacities sufficient for time's existence, which means that there was always the sufficient conditions for time existing, so time just would have eternally existed. If God is always willing time into existence, then time always exists.
I never said God is always willing time into existence. I said...
Is God always willing time into existence?
what I had said was God willed time into existence at t equals 0. It was at that moment that God entered time.
But was he always willing time into existence?
No.
That God changed. God changed from not willing it to willing it.
God did not. God's being did not change.
But what he was willing did.
As a conscious being, God's being did not change. The descriptions that govern God did not change. God made a conscious decision as a rational mind to create time. That's not a change.
Before he created time, he made a decision. Doesn't decisions require time?
Decisions require time if you're a being who's existing in a state of affairs in which you're governed by time. God is not that.
But if you're making a decision, it means there's a moment in which you don't know what you're going to do, and then a moment where you do know what you're going to do. That's a sequence of events, and sequences require time, which is actually part of Ian's dialogue.
Yeah, that there's like the hasn't decided yet and then has decided. That's a change.
Well, remember, God is an omnipotent and an omniscient being. So God already knows what he's going to do. And you can't say there was a point in time where God decided to create time, because God is not a temporal being.
Mm-hmm. Is willing time into existence the same as not willing time into existence?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Is willing time into existence the same as not willing time into existence?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Could you
okay, God exercising his creative capacity to bring time into existence, is that the same thing as God not exercising his creative capacity to bring time into existence?
No, they're not. They're not. Well, they're the same in the sense that both are decisions that God could have taken, but they're not the same in the sense that it was God's choice to bring time into existence. So they're not. So and those exist at opposite ends of the spectrum, and they would yield very different results. So they're not the same.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not the same. So God wasn't exercising his capacity that brings time into existence, and then he begins exercising his capacity that brings time into existence. That's a change. It's not the same state. So God changes from not bringing time into existence to bringing time into existence.
Okay, fine. So I'll grant that.
Sure. And because you said earlier that timeless things don't change, that means that God must himself be in time, which means that time has always existed. Because time's a part of your definition of the universe, that means the universe has always existed. So the second premise of the Kalam fails.
Oh, hold on. No, hold on. I think that's a reach and a misrepresentation of what I said. By God deciding to will time into existence, that might be a change in his mind, a change in his plan. For the sake of argument, even though I don't agree, that's not a change in any way of his being.
But you said that timeless things do not change. Do timeless things change in any way at all?
Well, no, because by definition, timeless means that the being exists eternally, therefore never began to exist and will never cease to exist, and therefore will not change. And as an omnipotent, omniscient being, there is nothing that could change God's nature.
Well, yeah, but we're speaking specifically about anything at all that's timeless changing. And God's mind is timeless, but God's mind changes from exercising his capacity to create time to not sorry, the reverse. It changes from not exercising his creative capacity that creates time to exercising his creative capacity and creating time. God changes from not creating time to creating time. That's a change, but God is timeless, and timeless things don't change.
So let me ask you this: if I decide I'm going to have cereal for breakfast today instead of eggs, am I changing?
Yeah, you would have changed your mind. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's a change in terms of a conscious choice, but it does not in any way change my being.
Okay, I think you've misrepresented my position a number of times, so just let me be clear about this. I am not claiming and have never claimed that this is like a change in God's nature. I am claiming that this is a change in God's mind, which is incompatible with God's mind being timeless, because timeless things don't change.
Right, and I agree with that, and that's why I've said I don't believe that.
Oh, really? Well, just don't play them any videos of me spazzing out. What's going on is that you're probably using some sort of Firefox-based browser, and Talk Studio, which is the app that I'm using to do the panel, doesn't like Firefox. It won't set the cameras and the microphone permissions properly, so it has to be Chrome based, either Chrome or some Chrome variants such as Opera, which is what I'm using, Opera. Yeah.
God's nature has changed in any way, and it's almost not really a valid question, because God by definition is a timeless being.
But does God's mind change?
No,
Yeah.
never a change. Well, God's mind consists of infinite knowledge and possibilities. So
Right, but does his mind change?
Really has the
Wait, hold on. We can't let that slide. I thought you said that actual infinities can't exist.
Oh,
I never said that.
Oh, so then what's the issue with Hilbert's Hotel?
Infinities. Hold on. What I had said was actual infinities do not exist in the sense that there can't be an infinite regress of causes. That's where I was going with that.
So then why'd you bring up Hilbert's Hotel? Because Hilbert's Hotel has nothing to do with causes.
It was merely an example to illustrate a point.
Which
Illustrate
point?
what point?
I'd be happy that the idea of infinity in terms of the constraints of our universe leads to absurdities.
Oh,
Well,
so this
wait,
is a statement that... Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say God makes Hilbert's Hotel in heaven. Would that not be the same absurdity in your view?
Can you repeat that, sorry?
Yeah, let's say God makes Hilbert's Hotel in heaven. Does that not lead to the same absurdity, according to you?
Well, again, it's not a valid question because God can't, as a omnipotent, omniscient being, God cannot do something that is not logical.
Oh, so it's not just an issue with our universe, it's an issue with just logic. So in your view, Hilbert's Hotel demonstrates what? Demonstrates that actual infinities are logically impossible?
What Hilbert's Hotel demonstrates is that the idea of infinities in the constraints of our universe, which is governed by physical laws, leads to absurdities.
Heaven's not in our universe.
Right, and I'm not objecting to that.
So then why can't he make heaven in, or why can't he make Hilbert's Hotel in heaven? Oh, I can't hear again.
Nope.
I can't hear him right now either.
No.
Oh, okay.
Nope. There's no problem. He's just thinking about it.
Your question. Okay, so if you have an issue with Hilbert's Hotel, I'd be happy to provide.
Well,
other
look,
examples.
Hilbert's Hotel is a fascinating thought experiment. I'm just curious why.
What's going on, Mangoes, is I'm watching a stream, which is, well, it's not a stream, it's a video, I'm guessing, taken from a live stream, from the Atheist Experience, where this Muslim has called in and is trying to run the Kalam argument. But the central person, Dr. Blitz, is a doctor of physics, and so he's kind of dismantling kind of all of it from the physics side of things. And the guy on the left is called Ian. I'm not sure what his background is, but he seems to come at things from a more fundamental position.
Why you brought it up in the first place.
Yeah, because typically what all of these are meant to do is say there are no actual infinites, but that's a big problem. If you think God is infinite knowledge, that's an actual infinite.
I guess I was trying to demonstrate. I was trying to demonstrate that infinity, in terms of being able to describe infinity mathematically, leads to absurd results. I guess that's where I'm going with that.
I mean, that's just a failure to track then, because like the whole business of Hilbert's Hotel is that you actually can make total complete sense of it mathematically. This is fully understood. Hilbert's Hotel does not lead to any sort of contradiction mathematically.
Okay, but we also have scientific evidence that indicates the universe has a beginning, right? The Big Bang.
If you want to present it, you can.
Represents.
I can't
Okay,
say
so we
that
know
to
the
a
universe is
physicist.
expanding. Therefore, if something is expanding, it used to be smaller, and the Big Bang represents a model of the universe in which the universe came into being at a singularity, which expanded rapidly.
It's interesting you say that because cosmologists don't say that. In fact, there was a poll taken last year, maybe at the end of 2024, actually, where they just surveyed like 85 cosmologists and relativists, black hole physicists, at a fairly large conference in, where was it? It was somewhere in the Netherlands. And like 68 or something percent, I think 68% of them said, yeah, the Big Bang says nothing about the beginning of time. It says nothing about a singularity, any of that business.
Okay, well, to be honest, I greatly enjoyed this discussion. You really kept me on my toes the whole time. I guess I would have to do. I'm kind of new to these arguments. I just started. I've always been familiar with the cosmological argument from listening to William Lane Craig's debates, but I just really started doing a deep dive into the actual readings of these arguments. So I guess
you should read this book.
I don't want to take up your time by kind of circling around the arguments the whole time. So what I'd like to do is maybe do a little bit more research and then call your show back next Sunday.
You should read this book.
Please do.
Yeah,
it's called Battle of the Big Bang. You should read it. Read it.
Read what? Sorry.
The book is called Battle of the Big Bang, and it'll clarify what the modern view is on, cosmology, what was before the Big Bang, if there was a before the Big Bang, whether the universe has always existed or not, whether or not it has a cause or not. It goes over all of that, and it's written by a cosmologist and a cosmologist wannabe. No shade to Phil Halper, but he is not a cosmologist.
He's a philosopher.
Is it an easy read? Because I'm not, aside from taking high school physics, I don't have a.
It doesn't have equations and stuff in it. It's a fairly straightforward read. I mean, it talks about some pretty high level stuff, but it's, if you're an adult, you can read it and follow it.
Okay. Well, thank you. So the Battle of the Big Bang, I'll look into that and give that a read, and I'll call back at your show. I'll call back into your show at some point in time. I really do appreciate you guys' time and thank you for keeping me on my toes the whole time throughout this debate.
Let me also are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
I'm going to give you 2 Bible verses to think about, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Just write them down.
No problem. Just let me.
Yeah, just jot them down, read them, and come back next time, and we'll bring them up. Okay. I would check out Exodus. Mm-hmm. Check out Exodus 32:14 and Exodus 33:5.
Right, hang on. Let me open up a notepad. Let's see. New text document. Bible verses. Right.
I would check out Exodus. Mm-hmm. Check out Exodus 32:14 and Exodus 33:5.
Right, we'll check those out in a moment.
And the reason why these are important is because
and Exodus.
Yeah, Exodus 32:14 and Exodus 33:5. There are others, but we're not worried about those just yet. And the reason why I want you to read these is because I don't think even the Bible teaches that God is outside of space and time. But that's for our next discussion.
All right. Okay.
Actually lost you for a second. So what are?
All right. That's ended. Let's just pause that. Okay. Let's move that over here. We are going to go to BibleGateway.com. Bring you over here. We'll share the screen and we'll look these verses up. So the first one was Exodus, was it 32:14? 32:14. Right, 33, 32, 14, and the Lord changed his mind about the disaster that you planned to bring on his people. Okay. And if we go to Hebrew, Greek, no, it does switch it to the New International Version, which is slightly annoying, but and then the Lord relented, Nahum. Okay, yeah, changed his mind. And what was the other one? It was 33:5. Exodus 33:5. So the Lord has said to Moses, tell the Israelites, you are a stiff-necked people. If I were to go with you even for a moment, I might destroy you. Now take off your ornaments and I will decide what to do with you. Okay. Because you can't go with someone if you're not located within space-time. It seems to have quite a wide semantic range. Anyway. Right, let's close you, let's close you. So that was interesting. Let's close this down. Yeah, I enjoyed that. So this here is the new content that's been added in this special league that I'm playing. Okay. Ah, okay. All right. Let's do this. All right. See you later, mangoes. I also need a cup of tea. So I will have to go and... It's just the same thing. It's the same thing every time. So let's go and do these 3 rooms on the right first. And I could talk about my build. I'm playing a monk, which might seem strange given that I'm throwing lightning around at the moment. I'm using a staff, which is where the lightning is coming from. I'm playing... okay. What's known as an ice invoker monk, because I'm using ice. So, okay, what's going on with my character build? So, I've... so down here, I've focused on attack damage, which is what these are. Attack damage, attack speed, and on critical hits and ice. And then I've come up here and I've done this, which I don't need right now, but just in preparation for when I get the skill gem, Combat Frenzy. And then I'm using these are helping with my critical hits, and I'm gonna go up here and then down here and do some of this quarterstaff. I might end up getting both of those pole light ends, and then I might go up to chaos inoculation. It depends. And then in terms of my specialization. I've got these two here, so I'm going to probably get all 4 of these, although I'm going to get the ice one next and then move up to Unbound Avatar. Which does more damage while it's active. And then I'll go up here to get this, which will give me +1 spirit for every energy shield and evasion rating that I have equipped on my body armor. At the moment, none of my stuff is particularly geared towards that, but that's, later. And it also means I can't gain spirit from equipment. So at the moment, this piece of armor is giving me 33 spirit extra, which is allowing me to run 2 passive skills, Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice. This used to be a completely broken combo, but it's been nerfed, which is a bit of a shame. But I'm using Ice Strike as my main hit, and Storm Wave, which is that lightning thing that you see where and I might end up getting this one here. Critical hits ignore non-negative enemy monster elemental resistances, but that'll be later. Yeah. I don't need that. All right, where are we going now? Let's go across here. Okay, well that's annoying. How the hell did you get over there? And we have to go all the way around, aren't I? God damn it. Let's check this remote. let me know how the sound is. I've turned the game audio up a little bit because I realized I had turned it down quite a lot. When I was watching the video. Okay, got to level up. Let me see. I also want to get these two as well. So I'm guessing go up here, we'll go dexterity. Now the problem with this is that you can't. Oh dear. You can't just drop the loot back off at your base. This is annoying. I might go and put the kettle on because of how annoying this is. Right, let's identify you. Oh. Oh, I know what I haven't done. Too late for this fight, but I have to do it. I should do it soon. Like, I should have done it before this, but I forgot. Okay, now then. I think we do that. All right. That should increase make my damage output more dramatic. So let's carry on going up here. Let's just pick these up. Oh, right, that's why, yeah. That's annoying. Oh, well, hang on, I can at least take a shortcut back to the top of those stairs. But, you know, I'm a loot hound. What can I say? I'm a whore for the loot. We still want to be back on this one. What's in here? Oh, hello. Oh dear. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, I don't like that. What the fuck? Right. Let's swap you back because right, we're going to cheese the fuck out of this. Right. Jesus. God damn it. Is he going to be back at full health again? No, he's not. Okay. We can... those things are tough. Okay. Jesus. Okay. God damn it. Okay, he's doing fire. Lightning and cold. What's my fire resist? 21%. Okay. I think the maximum you can get it up to is 75. She's saying molten riches. Okay. There is a checkpoint. All right, let's go and grab something. Needs to be a weapon. All right, so quarterstaff, I suppose. How much is it going to improve the quality by is the question. You know what, let's take this one. So I do need to go for a piss. And I need to go and put the kettle on. So I'll be back in a sec. Right, I'm back. That's pretty quiet. I'll put it back on speakers. Rather than headphones, because if no one's up here, then you have to let me know how the audio balances between this and the microphone, the game and the microphone. All right, where are we then? So, all right, yeah, we want to go back to this forging workbench. 15 physical, 15% extra quality. Let's pop that in there and have a look. Let's see, Ice Strike would be 1132, that one. So that's better for the base quarterstaff strike. Or is that because it does more attacks? Okay, yeah. All right, it's not quite as good still, but it's getting there. Oh dear. Oh. Right. Hey, re-examination. I'm just going to go and... Oh, got a skill point. That's potential, but no, I want to go up here for that and that. So, you know what? Let's do some strength. Strength is 27. Every debater is a gamer, and every debater is a gamer. Find what is my intelligence? 46. Okay, that's getting there. Maybe the next one I'll do would be intelligence. Could do intelligence. Yeah, okay.
A place in perpetual motion.
A circular streamer pipeline. All right, let's do this. Commander's headquarters. Do we want to go there?
Your fate is sealed.
Come here. Oh, I see. Right. I was wondering why my power charges weren't working, and it's because of the. Yeah, I need to unchoose a skill.
Another medallion.
No waypoint in here, which is annoying. Oh, hello. Is there a waypoint in here? Where are my waypoints? Oops.
The mighty ball.
Oh. Really need someone to drop a level 8 skill buff gem. Well, once I've done this temple, I can respec resonance. Because at the moment it's transforming the power charges that I'm collecting into frenzy charges, I think. And I don't want it to do that. Once I get combat frenzy, that will synergize with resonance very well, which will give me perpetual power charges almost, unless that's been nerfed to fuck, which it may well have been. You never know. There's a checkpoint. No, I thought I could see the blue light of a checkpoint. It was lying to me. There is a checkpoint. Okay. If you made a novel, I would read the audiobook. I mean, yeah, it depends on how much you pay me. People do seem to like the voice. What else have we got? Helmets. Nothing rare. Got some belts. People used to compare my voice to Alan Rickman quite often. Okay, let's take this belt as well. We can probably do something with those.
These stones obey old magics.
Ouch, that's hot. All right, where are we going then? How many have I got? Don't know that I have that many. We've got the barracks here and the architect's chamber. If I go to that checkpoint, right, I think we've used this already, so that's no good. That's the only other checkpoint though. Look, let's go up here to that checkpoint. I haven't used this one. that would... Oh, hang on. I've got this other one here. You've got 15 quality, so let's see if we get more damage. Come on, baby. 7 to 13 fire damage. That's not bad. Only a couple of viable skill trees. Maybe. I mean, per character, perhaps. I don't know. I'd like to, if I would make the claim that there are only a couple of viable skill trees in the entire game. Oh, what's this? This looks like it could be fatal. Okay. Maybe not.
A rare find.
Oh, right. Okay. What's this? Oh, runes. Yeah, we'll take that. Currency. Okay. So, not quite sure how to get over there. Maybe that'll just have to wait until I do the next run through. I completed the temple. And there's one more room to go. I'm guessing that's going to be down here.
Misguided fool. Thrust.
Right, well, I'm guessing that wasn't the final room then. Oh, right. It's going to be this, the barracks. Okay. Hmm. Right, temple complete. Okay, here we go.
Mindless.
I think this map might have a super tough gorilla on it somewhere. Maybe. Oh, hello.
The mighty fall. Frozen lash.
Per class. Yeah, maybe. That may well be the case. There's probably going to be nothing down here whatsoever. Oh, no, there's something here. Something is here. What have we got? All right, not much.
kind of stunt was that, traversing the marsh? You have to be smart if you were to survive. As quartermaster, I'll do my best to keep you alive. I can buy what equipment you find, or sell you what others have unearthed before we ship it back to King. If you disappear in the jungle, I'll also be the one who knows the death in our lives. You're welcome.
Hello there. I'm Alva Valai. Sorry about Oswald. He can be a bit rough with the newcomers, but he's really not a bad sort. In any case, we can always use another pair of hands around here. Welcome.
Exposition, just what we want.
This little excursion here represents my lifelong ambition. It's not just about finding treasure. I want to build an entire archaeological society someday. Rayclast has countless layers of history buried beneath it, and I aim to uncover every last bit. I intend to call my group the Reliquarians. A bit ostentatious, but the best things should be. A shame I couldn't have founded it a few decades ago, back when my birthplace, Orient, was still a thriving city. Thanks to the Templars, relics from a dozen different cultures found their way to that little island over the centuries, and are now all lost, thanks to the disasters that happened there. So you're looking for a device the Vaal intended to use against the cataclysm? Ah, so that's why you came here. Well, you're on the right trail. The ziggurat on which we stand was rumoured to contain a device to save their people. If you want to explore it, you'll have to find a way to drain the city first. It's hard to guess what the device inside the temple might be. I do know that it was commissioned by Queen Etziri's thaumaturge, Doriani himself. The project was given all the resources it needed, and the work was kept secret, even from Etziri. As best I could translate, they claimed using it might mean abandoning all they had built. They seemed to view it as a last resort, a way to save their legacy if all else failed. It's not often I detect fear in Vaal writings, but they definitely hoped they would never have to use it. By their final days, the Vaal were a deeply tiered empire based on brutal competition. Those at the top vied with each other through any means necessary, and Doriani was the foremost among these ambitious and immoral men. He was second only to Queen Etziri herself. Utzal was the seat of his power, and ancient writings claim he undertook a vast array of strange projects and sordid experiments here. Some glyphs I have seen are too stomach-churning to discuss. How do I even begin to describe the last queen of the Vaal? She left a tremendous mark on history. She was intelligent and capable enough to rule unquestioned over a bloodthirsty empire of volatile nobles, and the people adored her and feared her in equal measure. Vaal writings speak of her as the most beautiful woman in the era, but also the most dangerous. She sought eternal life, and she was willing to sacrifice anything to achieve it. The ruins around you are the result of those ambitions. Sometimes while I'm looting a temple, I remember that everything we find once belonged to a living, breathing person that probably died horribly. That sort of takes the fun out of it, doesn't it? I've heard of the beast. Everyone has. If someone is truly trying to raise another, then they must be the grandest of fools. These very ruins around us are the result of an attempt to control such a thing. This is the only way it can end.
God, it is an awful lot of exposition.
Isn't he? He's always injury, this, death, that. Personally, I've never been hurt while treasure hunting. I actually find it rather easy. He always makes sure we have the proper supplies and checks his list for everything 4 or 5 times before we make a move. He also invented what I call the Oswald technique. On the rare occasions he personally goes out with us, he throws a rock at absolutely everything before touching it. Every flagstone, every pillar, every statue. You'd be positively amazed at the elaborate traps he sets off, even in places I've walked through already.
Are you guys hearing the audio from this? Hang on a minute. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. All right, there we go. That's better. You should be able to hear the game audio now.
That fellow over there. He's a friend of yours, I take it. Seems to be one of a few words. Oh well, I'm not one to judge the company you choose to keep. Oswald will lose when any more of you show up, though.
Something tells me you're the exploring type. We've got that in common. But some places even I steer clear of. I rather enjoy being alive, you see. Still, if you're feeling adventurous, there's fortunes to be made out there in the wilds. I'm especially interested in all things related to the bar. For academic reasons, of course. But a bit of treasure never goes amiss.
Right, what are you selling?
Plenty of choices.
All right, randoms. Okay.
Maybe. Bye.
That draw unwanted attention. Somewhere in this region there are sophisticated canals and waterways. We might be able to use them to drain this lake. We must hope that the mechanisms are still functioning. It is the only way to reverse the drowning of this place. The first step in our search is to seek the knowledge of the valve.
Hey.
It is strange to return to this place of my divine youth and see it so aged and forgotten. When I was here, all the height of civilization, and the future was bright. They had their problems like any other people, but I thought I could free them from the moral hazards of divinity by removing gods from the equation. While we are here, I would like to discover whether this ruination is my fault, or whether something else happened to them. Do whatever it takes.
Okay, some of this stuff isn't. I'm just gonna take some time to do some. Like character-related admin stuff, I suppose. Right. Got a whole bunch of stuff that's not identified. You know what, let's put this back and we'll get something else. This, and then any helmets unidentified. Okay. What are you doing?
waited to the undead monster. Truly you need a guide. Luck's on your side today, friend. I am such a guide. Maybe I can help you survive. Not all tribes in this region are so friendly. You would be wise to listen to me on the dangers of the jungle. You are lucky indeed. It was my grandson. Can you believe that? A young spry thing like me. A grandmother. Don't be anxious. It was inherited my son's rowdy spirit. We have always been the type to do like helping outside. One day, he'll be a great man, just like his father. Until then, I fight.
Alright, okay. What's
Wisdom of any kind is much appreciated.
are we in Act 3? No, this is Act 2, surely. That's Act 2. Okay, we are in Act 3. Don't know how many acts the game is supposed to have in total.
The ziggurat beneath us was once the temple of the sun. One of the oldest buildings in the city of Charles' religious district. It was in active use for at least 1,000 years. But when the Val cataclysm struck, the city flooded, presumably killing everyone inside. For us, because this lake is the only reason it hasn't been ransacked by other treasure already. One man's magic dangerous, another man's treasure. I love everything here, so I can catalogue the thousands of ways to die which I love. If you can, be sure to write some sort of final entry detailing how you die. This won't benefit you, of course, but it will certainly benefit me. I don't mean to be overly fatalistic, but the amateurs coming from Kingsmarch are accomplishing nothing but beating the Chimerals. The most I can do, as quartermaster, is ensure they're equipped for exploration. That's where the real profit for treasure hunting is. I'll go out there if I can help it. I'm the unluckiest man alive. Yet, I'm the worst in this camp. You have to be good when you're trading with the Kalgurans, or they'll fleece you. Oh, Kingsmarch. So called by the Kalgurans. They're newcomers to Raycast. About 20 years. They're traders by nature. In fact, they partially funded this very expedition. For some reason, they're very interested in Val artifacts. We ship most of what we find back to Kingsmarch, and they pay handsomely for it.
Okay.
If you hear a click, duck.
It's annoying that everything's so. I'd kind of forgotten that everything's so spread out here. This is going to take a while.
Hey?
Keep your eyes sharp.
I should do this off stream, really. This isn't very exciting gameplay. Oh, do I want to keep that? No.
Greetings.
Still alive. Anything caught your eye? Up here. Keep your eyes sharp.
How can I be?
You play the Ranger or the Necromancer. I'm playing as an Invoker Monk.
What do you need? Some pretty car. It's that deal. Don't drink the water.
How can I?
What do you need? Take your time. My try to use it. Don't drink the water.
Right. She was monks. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Is any of this stuff not identified? No, it's all identified. Is any of it quality? No. Okay, great.
Yes.
So in case you're wondering what I'm doing,
Keep your
I'm taking items. These are all identified. Taking items, and then none of them are quality. Oh no, that one is. Okay, we do have something superior. If they can be broken down at the salvage bench, which these boots can, and I'm doing that. I'm going to this woman, disenchanting everything that I can, which in this instance is everything else that I had, and then what's left, oh no, apart from this, explore armor, which I'll sell. And then when I go back to my stash, it's automatically, it just kind of goes there, but if I open up my currencies, then I put these back in here. So now I've got 19 of those. That improves the quality of armor, so I could improve. Oh no, that's already got a thing on. You can't do it once you've added a rune. And then these, once they reach 10 of each thing, they kind of form these things here. And then you can use those to upgrade items. So I don't think there'll be anything worth. No, okay.
still alive.
Disenchant.
I'll take it. Don't drink the water.
Don't drink the water. If I don't drink the water, then I'll be dehydrated.
What do you need? Keep your eyes on. Anything catch your eye, I'll take it. Don't get anything colorful. Some quesadilla. Don't drink the water.
Don't drink the water. Got it.
Yes. Take your time, I'll take it. Don't drink the water. Still alive. Take your time. My drive. Keep your eyes on. Yes.
All right, almost done with this now. Bye.
Some odds in it. My drive to do that. Keep your eyes sharp. Yes. Take your chances, my dear. Be wary.
Right, what we got then? We do have some things. Have I got any runes? Let me see. So quarterstafs, what have we got? No. I mean, I could recycle that.
What do you need? Keep your eyes sharp.
Right. Let me see. What's my... Right, this I think we can just get rid of because that's going to be no good for us now. You we're going to keep because we'll see if we can improve on that 83%. So we'll put you in here. Let's see, 112. Augments a rare item with a new random modifier. Let's do it. Oh, nice. Okay. That's definitely going down the physical damage route. Let's swap you with you. Go to here. So that's 1.19, 1.3. So that one is better still. What about if we swap you with you? 1.2, and that goes up to 1.415. So that is the best one. Dump you too. Let's see. Augments. Iron Rune, 16% increased physical damage. Let's do it. And that's doing cold and fire. We could 1 to 20 lightning damage as well. Though I'm tempted to add another iron rune if I can get one. do extra elemental damage? No, it doesn't. Yeah, doing that. Okay. So now what's my damage output? Storm wave does 1.4k a second. That's not bad. Oh, that's right. I was going to refund that thing because gems. I don't have the required buff gem yet.
Time to refocus.
Let's apply a refund for you. And where are we going? We're going up here, aren't we? Let's go dexterity. Right, and so this is what we're heading towards, echoing frost and echoing thunder. So increased elemental damage if I've either shocked or chilled an enemy. And I'm doing shock at the moment. So Herald of Thunder does shock damage. Well, it does lightning damage. Okay. Oh, okay. Transfers 100% of bolt physical damage into lightning damage, which has a chance to shock based on how much lightning damage is dealt. Charge staff that also does lightning damage, so that was shock. And storm wave does lightning damage, which has an increased chance to shock. And I think on charge staff I've put, no, it's not on that, maybe it's on ice strike. No, okay. And on these two, Herald of Thunder causes more freeze build up, and Herald of Ice, anything that does ice damage also has a 100% chance to shock. And shock means they take increased damage from all sources. Who's selling? Not you.
If you hear a click,
What do you need? Anything catch your eye?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Let's also check you. Oh, 25 energy shield, 30.
Keep your eyes.
I see. What does quality do? Skill duration, all right. Ignore that for now. Okay.
They swim among the trees. Foul creature. Face your eyes.
Here we go. Yeah, I need a combat frenzy to make this work properly. I mean, this is working now. I think this is going to be the map with the super powerful chimp on it.
Darkness and decay.
Okay. Oh, what the fuck is that?
have no room for that. I have no room for that. How can I? I carry few possessions, and I don't have room for that. Quickly. must find balance.
Oh. What the hell is this?
How can I do?
We've been clashing with the Orc tribe for generations, but their real fight is with the other, and them are losing. The Orc worship the three-headed snake, then poison the jungle, poison themselves, poison us too. The shaman only seen her face. She moved like a panther in the dark. Even in the shadows, my friend. Even in the shadows. If you find the source of their wickedness, you let me know. I must see it for myself to make an understanding.
Right. I think I might leave it there. Or are we done in here? Oh, not quite. Maybe I'll finish this dungeon, and then I'll leave it there. Oh, there's a fancy watching a bit of the Expanse. So what I'm doing is I'm using this attack, which gets me to generate these little floaty balls, and then that triggers my power staff here, which now when I make my normal attack that I would make with the staff, it kind of fires those lasers everywhere. It's quite nice. But what I need is I need like a buff gen, which will allow me to like convert frenzy charge, well, like generate charges quickly. It means I'll be able to perpetually have this. Have this active. Is that it? Okay.
Your fate is sealed.
drink this. They foul you, but you'll thank me if you survive. Don't drink the water.
Okay, nice. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.